in a broken world. The world gives us standards to measure up to. The world gives us its, its status. But that does not mean that is the truth about us. I'm telling you, the standards of the broken world have misplaced our worth. They do not recognize our worth. That is why I chose the topic which says a woman or a man of great worth. I want to give you an example as in how the standards of the broken world have misplaced the worth of a woman. I want to tell you this story. And this story is told of a woman who got married. It was in Kenya. When she got married, after about 5 years of marriage, by about 5 years of her marriage, she had lost 2 pregnancies. The pregnancies were failing to come to full term. And can you just imagine the kind of experiences she was going through, being an African woman, getting married to an African man in our African community? What could be her experiences? Frustration, isn't it? Why is she frustrated? Because she's unable to bring the babies or go through the pregnancy up to full term. She could be going through a lot of bitterness, feelings of inadequacy. She could be going through a kind of trauma because of the fear of never getting a child, even fearing to get pregnant. Because after losing the first one, the second one, now you even begin to fear to get pregnant because you think that is how things are going to end. Even the fear of the husband getting another wife is another possible experience that could be going on through her mind. She could be facing a lot of ridicule from the in-laws and the relatives she's living with, or those who come to visit or say hi. She could be having even wrong friends that encourage her to abandon her God and seek help from somewhere else. She could be experiencing a lot of abuses from the husband, being an African man. When an African man marries you, the next thing he wants is children. And if you are unable to have children, do you expect her, do you expect to have a smooth run with him? No. She could be facing rejection or neglect from her husband. But the story continues. What really happened? Though luckily this woman, though she was going through such experience, an experience of not having to bring a pregnancy to full term, luckily she had an understanding husband. Is that a broken husband? Did she have a broken husband? We said we are born complete, but then we are born in a broken world. Many women marry broken husbands. But luckily, this one had an understanding husband. They continued with the hope of having a child one day. Until, thank God, one day she conceived again. And when she conceived again, all went well up to the 7th month. I know now you are expecting the worst, isn't it? But at 8.5 months, they also had another baby girl. And they became parents of 2 daughters. But what will now the broken world demand? The broken world will demand now a heir, a son. You see? It is not that this woman is incomplete, but it is only that she is born and she is raised and she has married into a broken world. But lucky enough, she did not marry a broken man. I don't know whether she had broken relatives. But that's the end of the story. So some quick lessons to learn there. God is able to turn our sorrows into joy. Being a Christian does not mean that you're immune to feelings of inadequacy, right? And it is possible that sometimes we put ourselves down and allow other people's perceptions make us feel unworthy. If she had listened to the words from the broken relatives and in-laws, she could start, it was possible for her to become feeling unworthy. The title of our message is A Woman of Great Worth. Is it you who makes yourself? Is it God who makes you? Or it is the world that is making you? Where do you get the feeling of completeness? Where do you get the basis of your worthiness? Is it from the people around you? Where do you get it from? Those around us may be broken too. I'm telling you, we are surrounded by selfish people. Those are broken people, isn't it? We are surrounded by adulterers. Young women are surrounded by married men who want to take them to bed. You say broken men. Young women are surrounded by young men who want to cohabit them, and they are not interested in the official marriages. What do you say? Broken boys. Young men are surrounded by women, young women, who look at them and think of a fortune, taking a fortune out of them. What do you young men see? Broken girls. Young men are surrounded by young women who think that they should somehow get into their apartments, get themselves pregnant, and claim to stay. What are the young men seeing? Broken girls. So the world around us is full of broken people who are not ready to make us, but who also cast a shadow around our worth we cannot see clearly well. How about in the African traditional society? I looked at that. In the African traditional society, the value of a woman was placed on a woman who had the following. Number one, a woman who had a husband. If you didn't have a husband, they even called you a set of names. Do you know them? You know them. Being Africans, you do know them. Have you heard of Nacheyombekedde? Hey, those were some of the names that were given to women who did not have a husband. So you gained your worth by having a husband. So we are going to discover by the end of the message, do you gain your worth by having a husband? In the African traditional society, a lot of value was placed on a woman who could be able to give birth to children. And for that matter, the boy child. Even if you gave birth to 8 girls, it is like you didn't have any child. Until you gave birth to a baby boy, then the whole family would jubilate. The value of a woman was placed on a woman who was able to work well with her co-wives. Right? A woman who was able to give birth to more than even one child. A woman who was hardworking, because men married women, more women, as a source of labor, because they had big chunks of land. So the more women you had, the more children you had, the more laborers you had on your farm. So you would become a rich man. How about today? In today's world, a woman's worth is placed on a woman who is beautiful. And I'm telling you, all those standards have consequences. A woman's worth today is placed on a woman who has a job and is hardworking and is rich. One time I went to the market to buy bananas, and I got interested in a conversation that was going on between a certain elderly woman and a young man, apparently, who was working in that market. And the elderly woman was telling the young man, when are you getting married? And the young man was saying, I need to first get a sugar mommy. That sugar mommy should give me a car, should give me money to build a house, then I will marry omwana wa bandi. See? So the things are changing. The young men are shifting. You have heard in the columns in the newspapers of Abanonya. They have even been interviewed on the television, and they say, how old are you? I'm a young man of 28. What kind of woman do you want to marry? I want to marry a woman who is, one, self-reliant, who is working. I don't want a woman who is not working and who is able to sustain me. This is a young man. So ladies, your worth, according to today's world, you don't have money to sustain the young man, no marriage. Long ago, when a man approached a young woman for marriage, the questions he would ask differ from the questions that are being asked today. He would ask, how are you? Where is your family? But today, they are asking, what are you doing? So the pocket contributes to your worth. The other days, it was the women who were asking that question. I want a man who has, I know. Sagala musajja atakola ki? Atalina. Asagala mwavu, sagala njagalanga bwendi. Those were the standards. But now, the things have changed. Today, a lot of worth is placed on a woman who is educated. Isn't it? A man who has gone to school up to your level will not marry a P7 dropout. Would you, Saint-Ong? So all the uneducated women should not cross by Saint-Ong's path. Right? It is also still placed, her worth is also still placed on the ability to give birth to children, especially the boy child. And I'm telling you, the results that we have. On the gown and to take the photos, because it adds to her worth and her status in society. She doesn't care whether the man is married or not, as long as she puts on the gown and the photos are taken. The choice of a marriage partner. We are seeing our church, even within our religious community, making wrong choices over husbands. In the year 2015, a young woman approached me. She was complaining about her age. She was saying that she was late for marriage, being in her early 30s. Apparently, she was dating a man who was a non-believer by then. And this man had requested her to move in with him. So she came to me for advice and said, Mrs. Mugera, what can I do? But she was dating the man. Now she was asking me, what should I do? What decision should I make? I told her, I'm not going to make the decision for you. It is you who is going to make your own decision. However, let me tell you about the experiences I have had with women who entered into relationships with non-believers. Number one. Before number one, I told her, if you are willing to go through those experiences,